All right, so this is exercise 2-3 on page 233 of the textbook. So it says, exercise 2-3, suppose the following items were taken from the December 31, 2022 asset section of the Boeing Company balance sheet. All dollars are in millions. And there's a whole list of accounts with dollar amounts. The instructions are prepare the asset section of a classified balance sheet listing the current assets in order of their liquidity. And we always list the current assets in order of liquidity. Okay. So at the top of the financial statement would be the company name, the Boeing Company. And make sure too when you're taking notes on these things and you're writing the problems out, you're putting the page and the exercise number, because that way you will be able to go back to it later with your notes for help when you're doing your homework and prepping for the exam. All right, so this is a partial balance sheet because we're only doing the asset section. They said it was for December 31, 2022. And then you would put in millions because they mentioned that. So that would be part of the title. Okay. All right. So the first section, just like when we did the standard balance sheet, the first section is going to be assets. So you label that in the center, assets. And then on the left-hand side here, you're going to have the current asset section first. Current assets, okay? And the current assets go in order of liquidity. Again, you're going to follow that page in the book that I referred you to, which is, I think, 2-4. I think it's 2-4, I said, where it has the Franklin Company. Yeah, 2-4 is the model to follow. So what comes first is cash. So we're going to put cash, and then the amount of cash is $9,215. We're then going to look for debt investments or short-term investments. And we do see that we have debt investments, and it says short-term. So instead of putting a date, they told us right there that they were short-term debt investments. Short term for 2008. Next, we would look for accounts receivable, and we do have accounts receivable. Accounts receivable. And accounts receivable is $5,785. And then we would have notes receivable, but if we look at it, there's two notes receivable. So one of them says notes receivable due after December 31, 2023. So that would be long-term, right? And then we have notes receivable due before December 31, 2023. That would be short-term. So we would say notes receivable, and it would be the short-term, which would be the 368. Then we would have inventory.
Professor?
Hold on one second. Yeah.
Is it always going to be the before, so the shorter term one for when it comes to accounts receivable if there's two?
Yep. Anything that's going to be paid within the next year, and anything that's longer than a year is going to be long term.
Okay, thank you.
Inventory is $16,933. So we are going to total all of those together, and that's going to be our total current liability, or total current assets, sorry. Total current assets is $34,309. Okay, then we're going to go to the next section. The next section is the long-term investments. So we'll put the title long-term investments. And we only have one long-term investment, and that's that long-term notes receivable, the one that's going to be due after December 31, 2023. So it's going to be longer than a year. So notes receivable The amount of that one is 5,466. Then we're going to go to the next section, which is the PPE, or the property, plant, and equipment. Property, plant, and equipment. And under the property, plant, and equipment, we see we have buildings. That would be plant, would be buildings. We're going to list buildings. And the buildings are 21,579. And when you have things under the PPE, land does not have depreciation associated with it, but the other things can and should normally have associated with it. So if we look in here, we're going to see we have accumulated depreciation buildings. So that's going to come next. But you put the word less in front of it. Less accumulated depreciation. Buildings. The accumulated depreciation is 12,795. So we're going to subtract the 12,795 from the 21,579, and that's going to give us what they call the book value of this building is 8,784. Okay. Then we're going to go to the next section, which is the intangible assets. And under intangible assets, we have just one, which is patents. And the patents is 12,528. Okay. And that's for our assets. So we're going to add together the 34,309, the 54,66, the 87,84, and the 12,528. We're going to add all those together. That's going to give us total assets of 61,087, and we're going to label that total assets. So that's the asset section for the Boeing Company, exercise 2-3 on page 233. That's 2-3 and 233.
Perfect.